Welcome to the Top 200 Drugs series. In this video, we will memorize tricyclic antidepressants, also called TCAs. In this class, there are four main drugs: Amitriptyline, Nortriptyline, Doxepin, and Imipramine. These drugs are mainly used to treat depression. Now let's begin. Number 1. Amitriptyline. The generic name is Amitriptyline. Again, Amitriptyline. The brand name is Elavil. Again, Elavil. Amitriptyline is mainly used to treat depression. Now let's build a memory link between the generic and brand names. Q. An amiable, elevated mood. Amitriptyline starts with AMI, Emi. Emi can remind you of amiable. Elavil starts with ELAV, Elavil. Elavil can remind you of elevated. So the phrase, an amiable, elevated mood, links the two names. Amiable points to Amitriptyline. Elevated points to Elavil. Again, an amiable, elevated mood. If this cue does not work for you, use the minimal distinctive chunk method. This means linking the smallest sound pieces to help you remember the generic and brand name pair. For this pair, Emitri, Elavil. Emitri, Elavil. Emitri, Elavil. Repeat these chunks as many times as you need. The rhythm itself builds memory. Now let's briefly look at the name insights. Breaking a name into parts can sometimes make it easier to remember. First, the generic name Amitriptyline. Emi may suggest an amine functional group in the chemical structure. The ending, triptyline, is the official INN stem for this subgroup of tricyclic antidepressants. This is a structure-supported mnemonic, not an official naming breakdown. For the brand name Elavil, Elavil may suggest elevate. IL is a common medication-style brand ending. This is a mnemonic association, not an official naming claim. That's Amitriptyline and Elavil. Number 2. Nortriptyline. The generic name is Nortriptyline. Again, Nortriptyline. The brand name is Pamelor. Again, Pamelor. Nortriptyline is mainly used to treat depression. Now let's build a memory link between the generic and brand names. Q1. North Polar. Nortriptyline begins with Nor. Nor can remind you of north. Pamelor sounds like polar. So, North Polar links the two names. North points to Nortriptyline. Polar points to Pamelor. Q2. North Palm. Nor again points to north. Pamelor begins with Pam. Pam can remind you of palm. So North Palm gives you a second way to connect the two names. Now let's lock in the names with the minimal distinctive chunk method. Nortre, Pamelor. Nortre, Pamelor. Nortre, Pamelor. Repeat these chunks as many times as you need. Now let's briefly look at the name insights. First, the generic name Nortriptyline. Nor often suggests one less methyl group on nitrogen than the parent compound. Nortriptyline has one less N-methyl group than Amitriptyline. The ending, triptyline, is the official INN stem for this subgroup of tricyclic antidepressants. For the brand name Pamelor, Pam may be used as a soft, calm-sounding cue. This is a mnemonic association, not an official naming claim. That's Nortriptyline and Pamelor. Number 3. Doxepin. The generic name is Doxepin. Again, Doxepin. The brand name is Sinequan. Again, Sinequan. Doxepin is mainly used to treat depression and insomnia. Now let's build a memory link between the generic and brand names. Q1. Doxine. Doxepin begins with dox. Dox can remind you of doc. Sinequan begins with sign. Sign can remind you of sign. So Doxine links the two names. Doc points to Doxepin. Sine points to Sinequan. Q2. Doxy sinus. Doxepin starts with dox. Dox can remind you of doxy. Sinequan starts with sine. Sine can remind you of sinus. Imagine a doxy with a sinus problem. So doxy sinus gives you a second sound-based cue. Now let's lock in the names with the minimal distinctive chunk method. Doxepin, Sinequan. Doxepin, Sinequan. Doxepin, Sinequan. Repeat these chunks as many times as you need. Now let's briefly look at the name insights. First, the generic name Doxepin. Dox may suggest the dibenzoxepin skeleton. The ending oxepin is a structure clue linked to a tricyclic compound. This is a structure-supported mnemonic, not an official naming statement. For the brand name Sinequan. Sinequan may echo the Latin phrase sine qua non. It means something essential or indispensable. This is a mnemonic association, not an official naming claim. That's Doxepin and Sinequan. Number 4. Imipramine. The generic name is Imipramine. Again, Imipramine. The brand name is Tofranil. Again, Tofranil. Imipramine is mainly used to treat depression. Now let's build a memory link between the generic and brand names. Q. I'm primed to overcome depression. For Imipramine, it was the first antidepressant drug. Imipramine begins with Imipra. Imipra sounds like I'm prime. For Tofranil, the beginning part, to, may suggest toward. And the middle part, fran, may suggest franchir, the French word meaning to cross or overcome. So the full phrase is: I'm primed to overcome depression. Again. I'm primed to overcome depression. This phrase links the two names. I'm prime points to Imipramine. To overcome helps connect you to Tofranil. Now let's lock in the names with the minimal distinctive chunk method. Imipra, Tofra. Imipra, Tofra. Imipra, Tofra. Repeat these chunks as many times as you need. Now let's briefly look at the name insights. First, the generic name Imipramine. IMI may suggest the dibenzazepine core structure. Imipramine is a member of the dibenzazepine group of compounds. The ending pramine is the official stem for the imipramine group. This is a structure-supported mnemonic, not an official naming breakdown. For the brand name Tofranil, the memory link here is used as a mnemonic association, not an official naming claim. That's Imipramine and Tofranil. That's tricyclic antidepressants. In this video, we covered Amitriptyline and Elavil, Nortriptyline and Pamelor, Doxepin and Sinequan, and Imipramine and Tofranil. Use the cues first. Then use the minimal distinctive chunks to lock the names into memory. See you in the next class.